Welcome to your Barbados Today evening news update for Friday, August 6th. A man is dead and several others injured following an accident along a Pilgrim Road to Christ Church, which occurred around 10:45 a.m. today. The deceased has been identified as 66-year-old Richard Newton of Silly Hall, St. John. He was the driver of one of the two vehicles involved in the collision. Police spokesman Acting Inspector Rodney Innes spoke to reporters at the scene earlier today.
That there were in fact two vehicles involved, a pickup van owned by the Ministry of Health and a tour bus, privately owned and ran with the TAP program, the Transport Board program. On arrival, we recognized there at least 11 persons complained of injuries. Those injuries have been assessed by ambulance personnel who arrived at the scene. I must say there were 5 ambulances who came here early and were able to assist us, as well as 2 medical doctors at the scene. Those injuries were described as not serious. Of the 11 persons who were injured, 3 persons were transported to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, 1 person to the Randall Phillips Polyclinic, and 7 of those persons were discharged seeking private medical attention. Now, more importantly and sadly, we had the driver of the pickup vehicle. He unfortunately died at the scene. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Our condolences, of course, goes out to his immediate family.
Minister of Health and Wellness, Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostick, arrived at the scene after receiving the news.
I made my way straight here to see exactly what was happening and if there was a need to give comfort to any of the members of the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Regrettably, we are unable to give any details at this stage as indicated by the police, but I would like really to extend my sincerest condolences to the family of the deceased and also to the medical officer of health and the staff at the polyclinic that has been affected by this. It's really a sad day. Couldn't have come at a worse time given what we are facing at this point in time and the difficulties throughout the whole public healthcare system and the challenges they have working extra hours. So this is really a serious blow and a sad one. And that is as much as I can say at this point in time. I am going to make my way to the polyclinic to see what is happening there with the staff and to see what assistance the ministry can bring to bear on this particular situation.
Saint Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister Dr. Rav Gonzalez suffered a concussion when he was struck in the head by an object outside the Parliament on Thursday. The incident occurred during protests against amendments to the Public Health Act. In a post on his Facebook page on Friday, Prime Minister Gonzalez said he was doing well and is on the mend.
He discharged me this morning and he has concluded from his examination, his assessments, inquiry, tests, that there are no neurological deficits. However, he said as a result of the concussion which I have suffered, I have to have monitored over the next 4 to 6 weeks my condition and to do in 4 to 6 weeks' time another series of tests and examination to see if any bleeding emerges in the brain as a result of the concussion. I will follow his advice to the letter.
The Prime Minister, who is currently in Barbados for further medical treatment, thanked those who sent prayers and condemned the senseless violence that occurred.
I want to thank the hundreds of people who have sent text messages to me and to Eloise expressing solidarity with me and condemning this senseless act of violence against me. Make no mistake about it. The person who threw the object at me, the projectile, that it hit me in my head, at the top of the head. It could easily have come, as the doctors tell me, lower down to the temple, and where there could have been immediately far more serious damage.
The St Vincent Parliament has since approved the amendments to the Public Health Act that allows for the vaccination of public sector employees considered to be frontline workers and removing the word voluntary from a section of the law that speaks to vaccination against an illness that has triggered the declaration of a public health emergency such as COVID-19. Prime Minister Gonzalez, who turns 75 on Sunday, is expected to return to his country on Saturday. Earlier today, Minister of Local Government Julian Francis told Parliament a woman had been detained by police and has admitted to injuring the Prime Minister. 12 new COVID-19 cases consisting of 6 males and 6 females were recorded in Barbados on Thursday. 97 people are in isolation. The country has recorded 4,455 cases of the viral illness and 48 deaths since March last year.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
In news from the region, St Lucia's Governor General has approved the appointment of former Prime Minister Alan Chastanet as the country's new opposition leader. Norbert Williams, the public relations officer of Chastanet's United Workers' Party, confirmed the appointment. He also addressed reports that the organization had rejected Chastanet's resignation as party leader.
At a meeting last week in the aftermath of the elections of the executive of the United Workers' Party, Alan Chastanet verbally tendered his resignation, and the executive attending at that time unanimously did not accept his resignation. And as a result, he has continued as the leader of the party, and as such, he has the confidence of the executive of the United Workers' Party, and as such, the Governor General has appointed him as being the one who has the most favor, if you will, of the members opposite, and as such, we have that situation as it unfolds today.
And finally, on the international scene, parts of Australia go on lockdown as the Delta variant spreads. More from Reuters TV.
Over half of Australia's population was under a hard lockdown on Friday, as the country tries to contain the latest surge in COVID cases. In Sydney, officials are warning residents to brace themselves for another day of record new infections driven by the Delta variant. The city reported 279 locally acquired cases over the past 24 hours, up from the previous high of 259 the day before. New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian.
I do want to foreshadow that given this high number of cases, we're likely to see this trend continue for the next few days. So I do want everybody to prepare themselves for higher case numbers in the next few days.
Meanwhile, in the neighbouring state of Victoria, hundreds of anti-lockdown protesters took to the streets of Melbourne on Thursday. That day, the state had entered its 6th lockdown of the pandemic, and residents are growing frustrated. Victoria reported 6 locally acquired COVID-19 cases on Friday, down from 8 a day earlier, with all linked but not in quarantine during their infectious period. Cases have also fallen in Brisbane, the state capital of Queensland, and authorities there say they hope to lift restrictions on Sunday.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.